Welcome back. Well, as you can see, this is a beautiful, bright and sunny day. Still a lot of snow on the ground, but besides having a couple of intermittent breaks in this cold weather, this is the break in the winter that we've been waiting for. If you're a person who's into maple sugaring, this is the start of the year, because when temperatures at night are below freezing and they ascend during the day above freezing, ideally when they're in the 20s in the night and in the 40s during the day, that's when the sap is really running, in the maple trees, that is. So I'm not even a hobbyist. This is to me nothing more than a pastime, something to put maple syrup on our table, which I love so much, and it's going to be enough for the year for ourselves and for our family and friends. So that's what I'm looking to do. I want to show you exactly what it is for a person of my scale to be able to do this. You know, you can tune into many different channels where you'll see large-scale farming operations or large-scale hobbyist operations. But what about a person who just simply has, 3 or 4 maple trees? Mature maple trees. They should be at least 12 inches across, 12 inches. That is the minimum that's considered safe for the tree so that you don't damage it. What you're going to be doing is collecting the sap which flows up by pressure this time of year. And you do that very simply with a device called a spile. S-P-I-L-E, and this is the traditional style spile. It's just basically a spout that's driven into the tree about an inch or so deep, and that has a hole. Now we'll collect and pour into a bucket. Now I use, this is to me as much of an aesthetic situation as anything else. So rather than having tubing is certainly more economical and more efficient. But for the few that I'm going to be doing, some buckets are nice. If you're really into the aesthetics of it, you can get the regular metal buckets. And you've got to remember now that this is a very small scale operation that I'm going to be doing. So all I'm going to be talking about is whether or not it's worthwhile for somebody to, basically tap a few trees on the property to do it for themselves. Personally, I think it is. It's a lot of fun to do. It's not an awful lot of work. Basically, nature takes care of most of the hard work if you're just doing it on that scale. I'm going to be just drilling a hole in this tree here. I'm just going to do this one tree for now. I'm still mopping out some snow paths with my snow blower that I can get into the other trees. And I don't have certainly a maple, a maple grove of any kind. I don't have a forest with hundreds of trees like some people will have in this area. So I'll just show you how it's done, and we'll drive the spile in, hang a bucket, and we'll go from there. And then in the next follow-up episode, we'll show you what it takes to do the actual cooking done. I should mention to you at this time, though, before you say to me, oh, wait a minute, by that time it'll be too late for me to get into it. All you really need to have for a small-scale operation for a few buckets of sap is just basically an outdoor range. You don't want to do this inside your house. It'll literally take the paper off your walls. It'll delaminate your drywall on your house. It's very wet. You're talking about a lot of steam. The ratio of sap that you get out of the tree to the finished syrup that you'll produce is roughly 40-1. So that means that that basically means that by the time you get done with a 5-gallon bucket, the frosting comes in, you're going to get roughly a pint of syrup. So it's a lot of boiling down. So all you need to have outside is maybe a simple Coleman gas stove, maybe your backyard barbecue grill, You can even build a fire pit, whatever you want at that time, and you only need to have something to evaporate it. So ideally you should have, you know, a wider and more shallow pan rather than something that's narrow and deep, so that it will allow the maximum surface evaporation. But you can do it with a simple large, you know, pot, like you cook spaghetti or something in. That's fine too. Just be aware that the boiling process is, you know, it'll take some time to boil that amount of water out of the sap, and it's not something that you're going to want to gather the kids around and have them sit and watch it, because you're literally you're waiting for water to boil and evaporate. So it's not, you can get them involved with the tapping of the trees and perhaps bottling it and things like that. But as far as the evaporation goes, that's kind of a you know, just drones on. But it's fun to do. Remember that sap is a very perishable product. Sap, as a matter of fact, is as perishable as milk, and it has to be treated as such. So, and it's important to keep debris out of it. You know, it is food. And although you will be filtering it, you can filter it simply with cheesecloth, or they have special filters that you can use for doing it. You can even do it with a coffee filter, although it's very time consuming, and you'll go through a lot of coffee filters. But it's important to keep it very, very clean. So all the items that you use should be washed ahead of time. Typically, a lot of people will recommend using a little bit of chlorine bleach in the water warm water when you wash your utensils, and quadruple rinse them. Make sure you have everything rinsed absolutely sparkling clean. If you're using tubing, you have to make sure that your tubing has been washed out and completely clean before you put it away and use it the next year. The same with your spiles. Everything has to be clean before you put it away, because you don't want to have that stuff sitting and bacteria, mold growing in the implements. So we can talk about all those things, but that's basically all you need. So all you really need to have for these spiles is a 7/16 drill bit. I'm going to be drilling about 2 inches or so into the tree, and the spile is driven in about 1 inch or so, 3/4 to 1 inch. You don't want to split the tree, so you don't drive it in hard, because you're going to be removing it. Typically, there's a guideline. Typically, for a 12-inch diameter tree, you can put in 1 tap. I don't have any trees larger than that, so I don't get concerned with hanging 2 buckets on any trees. But as long as you do that, and every year you move the drilling location to a different spot, at least, you know, 4 to 6 inches away, and if you're putting more than one on a tree, they should be at the same level. The spile should be driven in horizontally, but with just perhaps a slight uphill drill, and don't drive it in so hard that you split the wood. And ideally, it should be done on a day like today, where it's a little bit warm, so that the tree trunk is warm, and you don't get that splitting. We might actually see some dripping coming out of that trunk today. So hopefully that'll happen. So, Benny, what do you say? You want to go out and do this? Come on, Benny. Come on, Benny. Benny, come on. Okay, so first thing to do is to pick a good location on the tree. South exposure is always really good, and you want to examine and make sure that you don't have any lightning strikes or any damage to the tree in that area. Make sure that it's good, clean wood. We'll be looking to make sure that the chips, the shavings from the drill that come out, should be good and fresh wood color. They shouldn't be dark, which would indicate some sort of trouble with the tree. If you could see the roots down at the bottom, which you can't right now because of the snow, but if you could see them, you'd perhaps look for a large root, because that's a major sap running section of the tree. But you can also look straight up above, and you can see the large branches. And I have a large branch directly straight up on this south side here, so that's a very good location to drill. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to simply drill 2 inches into that tree. I want to give myself room to hang a bucket, so I'm going to drill it right here, just at a slight upward angle, not too much. About 2 inches in. It's good clean wood. It's hardwood. And allow the hole to clean out every now and then. Run those chips out and use a sharp bit. A sharp bit will prevent... Oh, I'm seeing some sap. That's a good sign. I'm in just about 2 inches, 2.5 inches into that tree trunk. So the most important thing is to remember to put the hook on the spile before you drive it in, because you're not gonna get a second chance. I'm seeing sap is running out like crazy. That's exciting. So the hook is very simply put on and then slid through this hole. Usually they have a hole here that you can hang the hook from. The hook faces the spout, and there's another set of holes which will be how you hang your lid on. I forgot to bring the lids out, so I'll go get those before we're done with this video. So I'm going to drive this right in, and you don't want to drive it in too hard. You want to seal the hole. Well, we're getting a lot of... Let me bring that camera right up here so you can see. We're running. We'll hang the bucket right there. We're flowing at a very steady clip. So that's what we want. You can see that coming out right now. Let me zoom in. Oh, it's not going to take long to fill that bucket up. So as I say, I'll get the lid that goes on that. And, well, we have already in there, oh, at least a half a cup of sap. Well, you figure that it's 40 drops of sap equals 1 drop of maple syrup. So I'm getting ready. I'm almost at the point where I can cover up a pancake. So let's see. This goes right on here. I'll show you this. This is a simple rod that goes through, and there's a saddle there, and it goes through the 2 holes in the top of that spile. If I can line them up. There we go. I drove that tap in just a little bit deeper than what I could with the dead blow hammer. So that'll keep the debris out of the sap. Pretty fine stuff. So looks kind of cool. Love it. And there's Benny. That's his own hydrant. We planted that a number of years ago. Water doesn't come out. He just covers it with water. Actually, he's a he's not a city dog. He didn't even know what it is. I put it there, and he just looked at me like, "What's that supposed to be for?" He uses trees. So anyway, Benny. Benny, here. He's a good boy. So, he knows better than to get clobbered with heavy, wet snow. But is it worth it for a small timer? When I say small timer, I'm talking about micro operation. Is it worth it to have some maple taps? I think so. I mean, to me, it's a staple. When I go to the restaurant in the morning, you know, to have breakfast, and I order pancakes or waffles, I'm not ordering that junk that comes in a bottle. You know, I want the real stuff. So I pay through the nose for it. You know, it costs like $2.50 for, you know, 2.5 ounces of it. So to me, it's a very, very neat treat to have, and to have it throughout the year. So to me, it's very much worth it to spend a little bit of time tapping some trees. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's really a lot of fun to do this. You know, it's one of the first days of the year that it's nice and warm, and I can get out with Benny and do something that's a little bit more entertaining than freezing to death. We're going to be getting some very warm weather soon, and as I say, once the temperatures range from 20 degrees in the nighttime to 40 degrees during the day, that's when the sap starts really pumping. This is nothing right now. So I'll keep an eye on that bucket. I'll keep you informed. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you could, please support me on Patreon. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to respond to everybody who's been so generous in the last couple of weeks, who have thrown in some serious donations, and believe me, God bless you. I really appreciate it, and that will go towards that hasn't started coming into me yet, but when it does, that will go towards purchasing ammo and the things that I can use to bring you more videos. So Benny and I will bid you adieu for now, and God bless.